Hey folks, yes, it's finally an aquarium. It's a tank filled with water, which I think technically meets the requirements of an aquarium. We've got all the plants laid out. I'm going to show you how I did that. We're going to talk about some things I thought about while I put this together, and also where we're going from here, coming right up. Hey YouTube, this is Pecktec, and it took quite a while to plant this thing. This was a really huge project, and definitely the biggest aquascape I've ever tried to put together. Now, the folks that have been watching for a while know that this has taken a really long time just to get to this point. I'm honestly relieved to have all the plants in there mostly where I want them. And everything just kind of done. I'm in that stage where I want to just kind of stop and watch it for a while. I'd like to start off with a big thank you to H2O Plants, who sent me this huge box of plants to put in here, really added a level of diversity I wouldn't have had if he hadn't done that. See, my original plan was to grow out some of my other tanks, which I didn't end up pulling from at all. And while that would have been really cool to do, and I still might do to some degree, if you can avoid that, it keeps your tanks from looking like they're all the same aquarium. Basically what happened with me is a long time ago, I started buying plants and putting them in my tanks, and just whatever lived, I still had. My buddy gave me a bucket full of Java fern, and I was like, wow, you really grew a lot of that. And he goes, well, I got it all from you. See, over the years, I've given him plants and other things and stuff, and Java fern happened to take off in his aquarium, and I ended up with a bucket full of it that really helped fill in. Man, it's super cold. I think I've put off setting up the aquarium as long as possible. It is New Year's Eve, and it's like way too cold to do anything like really super fun. So what we're gonna do is set up the tank. The girls have agreed to help me, and all that I had left to get with a little bit of super glue. Now I've got it. Sun is setting. It's time to go home and finally get that tank going. Yes, Kerrigan and I spent New Year's Eve planting this tank, and we had a good time. Well, she caught up on the Mindy project, but helped me out quite a bit too. Now, something else I did with the substrate as I planted is I took little areas and I just kind of pushed the sand away until I got right to the bottom where I could see the fluorite that I'd put in there. So I made these little pools and then I covered it with the black aquasolium. Then in places I would just kind of taper the edge by adding a little bit of more sand back over the top. Now, of course, all this is going to get justled about, you know, and there are several comments saying, well, the sand will probably sift down, or that the fluoride will come up over the top of it or mix and maybe not look so good later on. I really don't sweat the substrate a whole lot. I mean, I wanted it to be mostly sand, and I'm hoping that it doesn't do too much of that, but with any luck, in this middle area, it'll be so well planted, there'll be so many plants going in there that really the bottom of the tank won't be a huge concern. I mean, really all we can do now at this point is wait a couple of months and we'll come back and we'll see what it looks like. It'll never look this white and crisp and clean again, that's for sure. The other thing that I did that is like the cardinal rule you shouldn't do is I've mixed my wood. So I've got this blend of artificial wood items with manzanita wood and then spider wood. Spider wood's great to assemble and put together into these little globs, and then you can just attach plants all over it and sink them wherever you want. So you can make these little, kind of like, almost like not a wabikusa, but like just this ball of plants and wood, and just place it anywhere you want in the tank. And I like doing that. So hopefully if those plants grow really well and all that, you won't even notice the difference. Plus, all that wood starts to kind of blend and look the same as soon as your algae really kicks in. Those diatoms will kick in and everything will be the same kind of wood. Hardscape's really, really super important, and you should always pay attention to how you're laying it out. I tried to lay mine out as carefully as I could, but I'm dealing with pieces that are a little bit bigger and I'm not really as used to dealing with. What seems to inevitably happen with my tanks though is after the plants really kick in, the hardscape becomes sort of minimized. And like I said, with the aqua decor background, you kind of got that baseline of aquascape or hardscape anyway, and then you can put, like, lay some plants in front of it. So I'm excited to see how it turns out, like, in the long run. As far as other projects for this tank, I've got that extra tub on the sump I want to add. Still haven't actually set up the CO2. I've got the stuff kind of set there ready to go, but I haven't attached the regulator and really gotten the CO2 going yet. The main reason I haven't done that is I'm going to want to do water tests, and I don't want fluctuations in pH to like add any weirdness to a brand new tank. I felt like with the Into the Woods tank, I added CO2 a little too soon, and things got really weird in there, so I don't want to do that. But I'll probably have it on in a week or so after things kind of calm down. This volume of tank, I couldn't add water just from other aquariums, so it's like almost all brand new out of the tap water, you know, of course treated with dechlorinator and all that. What people inevitably ask me about is what fish do I want to put in here? Well, I've got some fish in the 56 gallon. I've got 3 rainbows and I've got a African bushfish. They're going to go in here. And of course, I've got Mr. Tubes. He's a bisher. He's a young bisher. He's going to go in here too. He's growing really super fast. And so I might not keep the rainbows in there for very long. The second I see any aggression that way, I'll pull them out. I know when he's an adult, a full adult, I won't be able to trust him with rainbows, so that'll be a kind of a short arrangement. These rainbows I've had for quite a long time. I mean, they're 6 or 7 years old too, so I don't know if they'll even live long enough for him to get big enough to cause them any harm. That's the hope anyway. We'll see how it plays out. Now, a lot of these plants I've never had before, so I wasn't exactly sure how they grow, and there's some room to rearrange and do some different things and stuff. But I tried to make areas where little gaps and stuff so they would have really natural hiding places so the fish can kind of scoot into little alcoves. So I try to make little pathways and little areas where they can hide. Unfortunately, that'll probably mean I won't see Mr. Tubes a whole lot. But in conjunction with these Kessel lights, I've also got my little current light that I have. It's only a 48 inch, but it kind of helps the light blend in a little bit more, and it adds a little bit of light to it. You know, not enough to grow plants on its own, of course, but it also has this nightlight feature, plus it'll kind of gradually come on. So what I can do is have the current USA light kind of gradually come on and get the light level going, and then have the Kessels come on, so they just Then I could have the Kessels go off a little bit before this, and they'll gradually dim down, and then it turns into the blue lights, like the night lights and stuff. Having night lights on your tank is a great way to capture the activities of a lot of nocturnal fish, and both the bushfish and Mr. Tubes are nocturnal. Now, I haven't started to really do anything in terms of adding biological filtration or anything like that. So I got the filter going. I've got 2 trays of the biological media. As you might recall if you watched the video about that filter or the sump, then it's got all these trays, right? So what I intend to do is, it's time to do a media change in one of my trays upstairs. So I'm going to add probably a tray, maybe 2 trays of used media, and then maybe 2 more trays of the other media. I already have 2 trays in there. There's tons and tons of these trays because, of course, it's a high capacity filter. There's a lot of water moving through here too. I mean, one thing I didn't anticipate was exactly how loud it is. In fact, this is the first video I've shot in front of this while it's running, and I have no idea if the sound is going to be great or terrible, so I'm crossing fingers. Now, as I look in here now, it's been going for just a couple of days, and it's still a little bit cloudy. Some of the plants have started to melt. You know, that is very common with crypts. I mean, you should anticipate that there's going to be some melt back when you put it in, but they grow back even better than before, so it works out, but you've got to be real patient. There's also this new break-in period where algae becomes an issue and stuff like that, and I need to explore some algae eaters or things that like algae to put in here too. I actually have a larger Siamese algae eater in the 56 gallon where the other big fish are coming out of, so he might come in here too. Now, before you go, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. I'm going to be doing a little bit more on this tank, then we're going to move on to some other projects. So until next time, follow your bliss, keep a clean tank, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. And while that would have been neat and while that would have been really cool to do, it kind of, but because I wanted to not, now unfortunately that probably means there's going to be a lot of times when I don't see, but in conjunction with these, when you're vacuuming the blood.
Welcome to Kerrigan's Plant Corner with your host, Kerrigan.